Hey guys, welcome Musky Road Rules Podcast. If you guys can tell, I do have a bit of a cold right now, but I think that adds to my sexy radio voice. It doesn't help with the appearance. If you're watching this on Patreon, that is not going to help you at all, but you'll suffer through it. Guys, really happy to be on here. We got a lot of cool stuff. Like I've always said, this is the new medium that we're pushing things through. We're doing these instead of our road rule schools in person. And yeah, we're starting to get quite a few people to latch hold. On this episode, though, I got a guy that I've known for a long time, been at many of a Muskie show, and that is Bill Swartz of Slammer Tackle. Slammer Tackle's been around a long time. It's taken some different ideations as far as what he's made the baits out of, but I think now he's probably making some of the best baits he's ever made. And I actually have Bill on here. Let's let you guys look at his smiling face on here.
Morning, Greg.
Bill,
how's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's going. It's been one of those days up north, but that's all right. We're surviving. So how's it in the slammer shop?
Keeping busy. Right after the show, we got slammed with some orders and been working, 10, 14-hour days. And so it's been busy. It's been good.
Yeah, it looks like you got quite a few baits hanging there behind you.
Yeah, those will be gone over the weekend.
Oh, geez. Those are for the orders. Wow.
Yeah, that's my inventory. That the big thing now that everybody knows is the custom stuff. That's really changed the muskie fishery as we know it, where guys love that, onesie twosie custom stuff. So
yeah. Well, I mean, hell, Team Rhino's built a business on it.
Yeah.
selling just their own exclusive colors, and it's it's really worked out. What Bill, how long have you been in the bait business?
Well, we started the company in 1989, and originally they were wood. Our 8-inch bait was our first bait we made. Then we followed up with a 7, and progressed from there. In 2007, we switched to solid plastic. We were going back and forth. Do we want to go a hollow bait or solid plastic? And we went down the avenue of solid, injecting them with a solid plastic, just because of the durability, crack proof, leak proof, and it's just been a good avenue to go down, we felt. So that's the way we went.
Yeah, the one thing with your wooden baits, I know they, I really like the wooden ones. I caught a lot of fish on the wooden ones, but it seemed like you were having issues with them cracking there, and it never really made sense why it happened.
Yeah, it was tough. It's any wood bait really. It's hard to keep paint on wood, and it's even tougher to keep it on wet wood. And once the hooks and teeth mark go through that clear coat, that bait would swell, the wood would swell, and it just led to cracking. And it was a problem we had, and that's why the plastic thing was just a really good avenue to go down.
Yeah. Now, and it seems like the plastic is a lot more consistent. You have a lot more control over what happens, right?
Sure. There's a wire form that gets put in the mold. Plastic gets squirted in, mold opens up, and out comes a bait. So it's just, super consistent. Durability has been great, and it's been working out really good for us.
Yeah, I like the plastic one. And then you've been able to, add rattles and stuff like that pretty easily, and it's not as I'm sure for you it's not near as time consuming.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, big time saving for me on that end. And yeah, like I said, I really like the rattles in our deep divers. We played around with a bunch of different kinds of rattles, get the right tone, not only that I wanted, but actually what the fish wanted. For played with different sizes and shapes and materials, and we add that afterwards, and our deep divers have that, and I think it works out really well.
Yeah, no, it does. And then you've started doing the tape as well on them, the prism tapes. And
yeah, that's the
something
big
I
thing
really like
on the plastic is having them wrapped in prism tape, and then we put the clear coat. We're still using a thick, heavy clear coat that gets brushed on, and that goes over the clear coat, or over the tape. So that's been huge for durability.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, your stuff really really flashes down there. You get a real good high vis look at the bait in the water, and it's just really really a cool thing to see. And I know that's something that I've always liked about them, is that especially your prism stuff is really, really nice, and it's not just a sticker over top. You've actually epoxied it on there, which makes it way more durable.
Yeah, and like I said, the hook takes a while for the hooks to chew through all that stuff.
Yeah, it does. So let's look at some of your stuff here. I'm going to bring up some of your divers here, and these are kind of your smaller size. Starting at the top, you got your smaller divers down to your bigger ones. And I'll say that little guy up top, that little 4-incher, is something that down south and even like Lake St. Clair, if you're on a shad-based lake, and I know that's probably that's a good Pewaukee bait too, and it's not shad-based, but for guys on shad-based lakes, that little dude, I've got a bunch of those that I've caught a lot of fish on. And the problem is now that you're making them out of plastic is they don't wear out.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yeah, they're really good on Pewaukee. That's my home base lake where I fish out there daily. And, I've had one get cut in half with the hook rash. But yeah, the 4-inch is really good on, like you said, shad based lakes. And, and if there's the forages, bluegill, crappie stuff, anything short and, from the belly to the back is, that type of forage is really good. The top three are our 4-inch, our 6-inch, and our 7-inch deep diver. They all have rattles in them. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of one of the deals where what lake you're on and what the fish are eating. And, like you said, that's the small shad stuff, the bluegills are, Pewaukee has a lot of small walleyes in it. And that 7-incher is really effective out there for stuff like that. One nice thing about the 7-incher in the middle and in the bottom, the 10-incher, is with the big lip, it still has that action at lower speeds. And that's really critical on, especially the 10-inch deep diver on the bottom there. That one, late in the fall or at nighttime where you want to slow down a little bit at times, it still has that huge head shake. And that's the real key on those things is that, you put out a lot of vibration at a lower speed as well.
Well, the other thing is that bait at 2.5 miles an hour, it is thumping the shit out of the rod.
Yeah. So that's really what the bait was made for. Is it's not really a speed freak. You can do some stuff with putting bigger hooks on and stuff like that, and tuning it really good. You can get some speed out of it, but primarily it's you slow it down in that lower, mid to high 2s, low 3s, and it still has a huge head shake and a lot of vibration. Where if you're trolling on and you're looking for more speed, the 10-inch shad, the Minnesota Cisco 10-inch shad there, that one is just great for speed. A lot of vibration too, but it handles speed really nice.
Yeah. Now, as a crankbait guy, and looking at these here, your deep divers, two things stick out to me. One is you're one of the only people I've ever seen that puts lead on the lip. You've got a little bit of lead there. Now, what's the purpose for that?
Well, part of it is just for manufacturing. That lead ingot gets molded onto the wire form prior to the wire going into the mold. And then the lip just has a hole drilled in it. And I can just, after I paint the bait, I can glue the lip in and then I crimp that lead insert into the lip. So it's primarily for manufacturing purposes. So I can put the lip in after I paint it.
Sure. But it probably also adds a little bit of an anchoring feature on the head of the bait, I would assume.
Well, it drops the nose down. I'm not sure if that affects how the action is. We've done it since day one, and it just seems to work for us.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And then two, you've got on here your minnows, which are the flat-bellied ones, or that's what I would call them.
Yes,
straight bellies, and then you have your drop bellies.
Yep.
And as you said, drop belly is more for speed, and I would assume because you have an anchoring, some weight there near the belly. Is that how that works, or is it a little bit different?
For the lead ingot in the lip?
No. In the belly of the.
We don't have any weight in any of the deep divers. We want to try to keep them as buoyant as possible.
Okay.
And
So you just think that little that dip in the belly is the reason why they run faster.
yeah, just the shape and the angle of the lip and position of the lip is what would getting the speed out of it.
Yeah, that's what's getting it out. Yeah. Well, I know that little 4-incher, I know it'll go way over 5 miles an hour because I've
Yeah,
pulled it
those
really
little
fast.
guys, they work nice. It's one of our more popular baits. Guys down south, Lake St. Clair, Greg, years ago when we fished out there, that
Yep.
was a good bait for us when I fished with you, and it's been a really good bait for us. And the bigger, like I said, anytime I fish any body of water, I have to look at. First thing I do is take a step back and look at what are these fish eating, and
Mhm.
if they're eating smaller bluegills, shad, the smaller 4 and 6 inch stuff is really good. If I'm up in Canada, where they're eating bigger tulipy, sucker, whitefish, possibly, then I can go with a bigger bait. So we have a good variety of different size baits to meet any body of water or forage base that the lake offers.
Sure. Now let's talk here some of your minnows. Here's your minnow baits, and these I'm sure have been extremely popular for you. What sizes am I looking at here?
So the top ones are 8 inch bait. The next one down, the orange bellied one, that's our new 9 inch bait, which we can talk about later.
Mhm.
And then we've got our 10 and our 12 incher. The 12 incher is primarily a trolling bait. There are some guys that cast it. I have casted it, but it pulls pretty hard.
It sucks.
It's thanks.
Yeah, no, that one, I don't like casting that, but
Yeah, that's it.
trolling and
Yeah,
in like Minnesota, trolling open water, that 12-incher was always a great bait. It has such a good thump to it. You can go a decent speed with it. Do you make the giant anymore, the 16-incher?
yes, and we didn't send you a picture of that. Our biggest bait we make is a 14 incher.
Yeah.
My bad for not sending the picture of that one. And that one's a little different, kind of a different animal. We played around with the lip because we wanted to get some speed out of the bait, but the lip angles angled a little farther forward, so we get it runs really deep. It actually runs in the same range as our 10-inch deep shad,
Oh,
and
wow.
uh, and it handles speed real nice. But we also wanted that big head shake like the 12-incher has. We wanted,
Mhm.
and the only way we could get that big of a bait to run that type of an action was to put a larger lip on it and angle it a little further forward. And so we'd get that big head shake, but it runs down like where if I'm trying to get the 12-incher down in that 12 to 14 foot range, I might be 50 foot back. With the 14-incher, I only need to get 35 feet of string behind the boat, so it
Oh,
really
wow.
it really digs. Yeah, yeah.
No, that's the one thing. I've got one of the old 16-inchers
Oh
that you
yeah,
made,
those. Yeah,
and one of my biggest fish on my biggest one of my biggest fish trolling on one of the lakes in western Minnesota was a 53-incher that we caught on one of those 16-inch baits.
yeah. Those I
Um,
made out of that. I have a single cavity mold, and I made them out of that
Alumalite.
aluminite. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't, I mean, it had a weird kind of like a slow, like bleh, bleh, action to it. It wasn't super fast, but I did catch fish. I wanted a big target. That's all I was looking for. I didn't really care how the wiggle was as much, but um it had that big lazy wiggle back there. And yeah, no, it was definitely cool that we did get some fish to eat it. I mean, it's funny when you see a 38-inch fish eating the thing because it's damn near half as big as it.
Well, and that's we run when I'm up in northern Minnesota in November. We're putting either a fish tail on a 12-incher or we're putting a big 10-inch Magambo tail in the back, and you'd be surprised, with a 20-inch long bait, 32-incher grab, headshots the thing. So, and that
Mhm.
goes back to what I said earlier about the forage. When these fish are used to eating whitefish and ciscos and tulipes that are, that's their normal mainstay what they're eating. So to eat a big bait is not uncommon for them.
No, no. Now for casting, what do you think of these? Well, the 9 just got started, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's talk about is that your 8-inch and
The
10-inch?
8 and the
Uh,
10, those have always been my mainstay is, ripping them, twitching them hard. I like the big thing when I'm talking about ripping a bait or twitching it, I like a heavy action rod. Actually, I like a extra heavy.
Yeah. You were saying that 2X heavy Thorn Brothers was the one that you like.
I like to have, they make my rods for me just because I like a long handle. I'm a big guy and I fishing out of a deep V boat. I like a long rod and I like a 20-inch handle. And so, I mean, St. Croix have, their big nasty and their big dog rod is the action I'm looking for a twitch bait rod. But their handle, when I pick up a St. Croix, it just feels like it's a pistol grip. But the action of the rod is what I want. And that where, with Thorn Brothers making the rods, it's a, 2X heavy, just you got to get that snap out of, when you rip the bait. And I'm talking anywhere from a 6 to 10-inch pop with the rod tip, but hard. I want to get that bait to dance around, turn sideways. And with the 8-incher, I'll go down to a extra heavy, which is similar to a big nasty action. But the 10-incher, 10-inch bait, that I like the 2X heavy, which is like the big dog action, so I can get a hard snap to it. I like light wire hooks, and that's a touchy subject when you talk to a lot of guys. The light wire hooks allows that bait to dance around. And a lot of times on a lot of my baits on, the 8 and a 10, 8, 9, and 10, I will put actually a smaller hook on the tail end. I'll put a 4-4 and on the 10-incher, I'll put a 4-aught, and then I'll put a 3-aught on the tail end, just to get that bait to dance around more. And that's the only problem becomes is you got a 2X heavy rod, light wire hooks, no stretch line. You got to fight the fish. That's a must. You can't just reel them in. But I want that bait to dance around a lot when I'm ripping it.
What kind of leader are you using?
On the smaller stuff, I like 100-pound stealth leader, the fluorocarbon, what their standard length. I think it's a 14-inch leader. On these size baits, the 8, 9, and 10, I like their standard 14-inch length. But I think it's a 130 or 150. I don't like to go super heavy on it, and it just seems to work really good. I don't think the fish care that they can't see it. I mean, you got 50 feet of string coming through the water first, but it just seems like that if you get too heavy of a wire or too heavy of a fluorocarbon leader, it kind of slows the action down a little bit.
Sure. Now the on these baits here, the light wire hooks. So you're probably not having your drag locked down completely, right?
I do. I do. I have my drag not completely, but it's buried down pretty tight. But I palm my reel. I guess if you're going to hang on to the foregrip, then you're going to want your drag back down a little bit. But I palm my reel, so I just been habit. As soon as a fish hits, the first thing I kind of do is get ready to put your thumb on the thumb bar and don't put so much pressure on the fish. But if you're one of the guys that hang on to the foregrip of the rod, you're definitely going to want to have your drag backed off a little bit.
Yeah, and then the light wire hooks. I mean, I go back and forth on them a lot because I like the way they hook fish. If you get a fish that takes that thing, I mean, you're going to hook them because it's less metal that you have to pull through their mouth. Some of these 4X heavy hooks, I mean, you got to really set the hook to get that hook through there. So the light wire works good.
Absolutely. And I have, as a manufacturer, I'm going to put a hook on a bait. And I found out that there's not one perfect hook out there for every application. And I have tried every single kind of hook out there. And it's one of them deals. It's everybody has their favorite hook. And, like I said earlier, it's a touchy subject on hooks. And, but the ones that I'm going to twitch, I'm going to put a lighter wire hook on. Now, if I'm going to troll the bait, I'm going to usually upsize it one size and put a little bit heavier hook on. That allows the bait to get a little more speed out of it because you got some weight along the ballast of the belly on the minnow baits.
Yeah. Yeah. And our friend Luke Ramastrand, he's caught some giant fish trolling that 10-inch minnow of yours.
Actually, the biggest one I know of is the 58 that Luke caught on the 10-incher a few years back.
Yeah. No, that was just an absolute massive fish. And I think he actually caught that fish the year before at 57. He
Yes, on the same. It was on a it was the same color 10-incher, and I asked, was it the same bait, and he said that no. That right after they got the 57, they ended up hanging the bait in the rocks and lost it. And I
yeah,
said, "Oh, I would have taken up scuba diving to get that one back."
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was yeah.
No, that's pretty incredible. And now your minnows, are they no rattles?
No rattles. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, they're quiet, solid. I really like that 10-incher, so I'm curious to see how these nines work. I grabbed a couple from you at the show, and I really like that purple Cisco pattern that you or Minnesota Cisco pattern that, even down south. I just like with the prism tape in there. I love purple backs. I don't know why the fish like them. Maybe the shad or something looks more realistic to them, but I love those purple backs, and with the hollow foil sides like you're doing. Um, Man, they just shine really nice in dirty water.
I don't know if it's a Cisco thing, but yeah, they like purple up here too. So it's
Yeah,
just I think it's just a
I
color
think
that
it's just
sticks out.
it's just a color that are in fish. I think that's pretty much it. Let's look here at some of your smaller minnow baits. I'll bring them up. These dudes here, what have we got? You've actually got you're still doing the gliders?
Yeah, still doing the gliders at the bottom one. That's just small snaps with the rod tip and just dances around real nice. It's weighted to be a neutral buoyant. All of our baits float except for the glider. That one has a slow sink to it, or to neutral buoyant to a slow sink. But I like that. That's my go-to bait in the spring for,
Mhm.
I twitch the small minnow baits a lot, and then we've always got one of the small minnow baits going, or the glider. I don't fish it a lot in the fall, and I probably should fish it some more. But by the fall, I'm usually throwing bigger stuff. But in the spring, that's my go-to bait.
Now that little glider there, it's a smaller bait. What is it? Is it 6 inch?
6 inch. Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of those baits too. You maybe want to not throw on a super heavy rod. I kind of like it with a softer rod myself.
Absolutely. That's the first. Anytime somebody calls me or asks me, says I can't get one of your gliders to work, first thing I say is you're probably overpowering it.
Mm,
I like the medium heavy Predator on that one for working the glider, and that's kind of like a St. Croix long ranger, a top and tail, real spongy tip. That's the only time I work a what I would call a twitch bait with a light action rod. But yeah, medium heavy Thorn Brothers Predator is a really good blank for that. And
I've got an old St. Croix 7.3 that I only throw in the spring for glide baits, and it's made for little glide baits just like that. I mean,
yeah,
that's
just
all I use for it.
yeah, light snaps with the rod tip. If you're gonna sweep it like you would a suic or a bobby bait, you're not gonna like it. And I think goes with any glide bait, any small glide
Sure,
bait. It's got to
sure.
be just
No,
a
it's
small little pop of the rod tip, just reel up the slack. And yeah, it's and a lot of guys. One of my buddies, he just casts them out and reels them in, and they got a nice swim pattern, just a S, kind of comes back to the boat, swimming an S back and forth. And
sure. No, it has that, and you can use this one if you have a fast reel. You could pop it with the reel and just
yeah, yep,
do the quarter turns. If you can't get the cadence right, doing quarter turns with the reel, it'll dart side to side. Now on the rest of them here, does it go like 4 inches down to 7? Is that
oh, we
what we're
got the
kind of looking
top
at?
top ones are 5 inch, a little
5 inch.
5 inch, another great spring bait, has a lot of vibration with that square lip. It really thumps really nice. Right below it is that's our original 6 incher with the round lip, and below that is our 6 inch fatty. That's a newer bait, and that one does have a rattle in it. The next two have a rattle in it, just being a little bit thicker. It's 3/4 inch thick from side to side, so we could fit a rattle in it. We wanted it to separate. It's the same profile as the 6 incher that's above it, the Golden Shiner 6 incher, but with the lip angle and the square lip and the rattle, it really separates itself as far as vibration and running depth.
Hmm.
The second one down, our original 6 inch, only runs down a couple 3 feet. It's got with the round lip, it's got a real subtle wobble to it. And sometimes, especially under cold fronts, these fish kind of like that. When you look
Yeah, I
at
was going to say you don't make a ton of. That's the only minnow bait you make now with a round lip,
with
isn't
the
it?
round lip, and part of that is just talking to a lot of everybody seems to like that square lip. You can get more speed out of it trolling. It's got a lot more violent vibration and roll to it. So we kind of, when we were changing stuff over from wood to plastic, we kind of went down that avenue just because it was, talking with our staff and a lot of fishermen out there at these shows, that's what they seem to like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it just makes it more versatile,
Yeah.
um, and easier to tune,
Yep.
versus the round lip there. Um, is that a 7-incher there close to the
The
bottom?
Fire Tiger is a 7-incher. That's probably our most popular bait. It's a good trolling bait. Guys on Green Bay have done really well on it. My longest Wisconsin fish came on it up on Green Bay. It just runs down, 2-3 feet, trolls down to about 5 or 6, can handle some speed, especially if you put some heavier hooks on it, if you're going to troll it only, I would definitely recommend putting some heavier hooks on. But up in Green Bay, it's been a really, really popular bait up there and caught a lot of fish on it and a lot of some really big fish too.
Yeah, no, I get it. Now, your drop belly one there, what's the story behind it?
That's kind of something guys that are fishing that shad, bluegill stuff. That one runs down a little bit deeper, probably runs down 4 or 5 foot. It trolls really nice on a flat line, straight behind the boat. We've done really well with that, trolling it there. But for some reason, we cannot figure out, you put on a planer board and it wants to jump out of, it just can't handle speed behind a planer board, whether it's the constant tugging or what. But on a flat line, it trolls really good. And that's kind of what we use it for trolling on a flat line or for casting out and ripping it.
Sure.
That one has a rattle as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, some nice stuff. I know your top little 5-incher there. I like it. I've got a little pattern down south, and I've caught some fish on the 5-incher, just straight retrieving it. Just using it as a, throwing it out, cranking it in, maybe giving it a twitch every once in a while. But that little size right there in the April, early May time period works really well.
Yeah, same thing down by us. That opening weekend on Pewaukee, that first Saturday of May when our Musky opener starts. That the top 3 are really popular and caught a lot of fish on them over the years.
So that gold, that gold and black with orange belly, that's like a popular color for you guys, isn't it?
If you fish Pewaukee opening week, you're going to want one of those. Yeah, that's a really good color out there. Golden Shiner. It has been for whatever reason, actually the top 2 colors out there are really, really, those are my go-to colors out there early in the year.
Yeah, no, I the times I've fished Pewaukee, I mean, that's just like something everybody is, that and Fire Tiger. People seem to love Fire Tiger out there.
Yeah, that's not I shouldn't say one of my biggest fish I ever got was on a 7-inch deep diver in Fire Tiger, but it's loaded with a lot of small perch, so you got to keep that in mind.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. Well, let's talk about your new bait here. Your 9-inch. What was the reason for this, and how did it come about?
Well, we wanted something. A lot of guys were telling me at the shows and that they're saying, boy, that 9-inch size is a perfect size. And it's like, well, geez, I already got an 8 and a 10. What else do I need here?
They're musky fishing. They're musky fishermen. They got to complain about something.
Yeah, right. But no, so the main thing is I didn't want a bait that was going to be, well, it's 1 inch longer than the 8 or 1 inch shorter than the 10. So we played around with the lip angle and the lip position. So we got to have it has that really big roll and head shake that like our 7-incher and our 12-incher. And it only runs down 2-3 feet casting it. Trolling, I was surprised you could really get some good depth out of it. It'd run down, you could get it down about 14, 15 feet trolling. But casting is that, and that 90% of the time last year, I got some samples out of the mold in May, so we used it all last year, and it was, from day one, it was like, wow, this thing is something. I was really happy with how the results, how it worked out, and especially on Pewaukee last year, the weeds came up so fast and so early that it worked. You could have a big profile in the spring. I like a lot of times I go to a bigger bait early in the year just for a shock bait, and that bait just right from the get-go worked really well because it ran right in that perfect depth range to run above the weeds. And then once again up in Canada, it was just a great bait, ripping it and twitching it hard over the weed tops and shallow rocks. And so it really, really shined for us. And that, like, once again, that I'm twitching it and ripping it really hard with a 2X heavy predator. And I like the high speed reel. I want to be able to bring up that line as fast as I can.
Well, we're watching a video of it right now in the water, and you're twitching it, and it's moving, anywhere from you really don't know what way it's going to go, which is nice.
There were times, like I said, I like on that bait, I put a 4-aught, and a 3-aught on the tail. And there were times where I could actually get that back hook to hang up on the leader, which, it follows a cast, but I'm really getting that bait to dance around. I think that's the key with any twitch bait or rip bait is you can't just have that swim, stop action. You got to get that bait to turn sideways and to trigger a fish to strike. And that's
well, I think one of the more impressive things that I'm seeing here watching it is how much that belly almost turns completely upside down.
Yeah, that's the neat thing. It's you'll be seeing, the back of the black and then also the white of the belly and the next twitch, and it dances around. So it's really getting a lot of flash, moving a lot of water. And like I said, right from the get-go, when we got the bait out of the sample baits out of the mold, it was a winner from day one. We were really excited about it and really happy to bring it out.
Yeah, no, I like it. And then also you've got some trolling stuff here with it. It looks like it trolls nice, but it's pretty violent.
It does it.
The water.
The rod thump's really nice, and it's got that big head shake like the 7 and the 12. Handles speed really good. There were times where we'd run it up to 4.5 was really common. Still had that big head shake. I do a trip the first week in November up in northern Minnesota, and I was really excited about running this bait because it has that big head shake like the 12-inch that we do really well with. And then I got sick middle of October. I was sick in bed for about 4 or 5 weeks. I never got up there, and but I was really wanting to get that bait up in Minnesota trolling it.
Sure. Now, did you have a chance to run this on Green Bay last year?
I did not. I never, every year I say I'm going to get up to Green Bay more and more, and I just never got up there. We got some fish trolling it down here, and then my wife got a real nice one up in Canada first week of September when her and I were up there trolling it. But primarily, I didn't spend a lot of time trolling it. It was mostly casting and ripping it.
Yeah, and for you guys that can see this thing has got I would say a good 3 to 4 or 5 inch swing to it when it's trolling. So I mean, it's pretty violent. This would be, for me, this would be a great bait too for warm water, summertime. You want something violent down there to really wake them up. And,
I was surprised that for how shallow it worked casting, I was surprised how much depth you get out of it trolling. So for a lot of that open water trolling, 30 to 50 foot behind the board is about, even less, even 20 to 40 foot behind the board is really good because it keeps that bait up high in the water column.
Sure. No, I like it. Now let's talk here. Something else you do, Bill, and that guys are you have at your booth, and I don't know if guys are taking advantage of it. Is the fishtails that you're adding to these baits. And to me, these are really cool. And maybe talk a little bit about these.
That's something in the fall. It's something we won't run a bait without, whether it be something on the back end, whether it be the fishtail. We have two sizes. We have this is our regular fishtail, which kind of geared up towards 9 to 12-inch bait, profiles, and then we have a baby fishtail that is set up for 5 to 8-inch size. That's our baby one on a 7-incher. Does a couple things for the bait. First and foremost, it slows the roll of the bait down a little bit. And I think in that cold water, whether it's in the spring or the fall, sometimes they don't want that, super wide, super aggressive, violent wobble. Slowing it down is a little bit. And another thing it does is it makes the bait run a lot higher in the water column. A normal 10-incher will maybe troll down 10 feet. You put a fishtail on it, and now you're running down 7 or 8 feet. So it slows the wobble down, and it gets a little bit shallower, or higher in the water column, and it just gives it a more natural, lifelike profile. I think in the cold water, where these fish kind of come up, water's a lot clearer in the spring and the fall, and these fish come up and look at it, and it just looks a little bit more natural. And it's just been, like I said, the only reason why we didn't pull that fish out of the water for a photo because our hands were freezing. It was so cold. I remember that day with my buddy.
I mean, this is up your late fall trip up with the shumways and stuff, and all these fish here have the fishtail in there. It looks like they like blue and silver, and everything. And you do a lot of that when you're trolling up in the late fall. I mean, what was the water temperatures here?
33.
Oh Jesus!
We drove around, every day it was just getting colder and colder and colder, and the lake actually froze the next day. It was, we found one launch that was open, went out there, and the fishing was good, but it was just brutally cold, and it was just, the Cisco's. One thing, I'm talking with Bruce Shumway, he's really just a wealth of knowledge up there. And when I fished with Bruce and his brother-in-law, Mike, we'd go up for the week. And one thing we had talked about is that the whitefish. Now, if you've ever seen a whitefish on Lake Vermilion, it is just huge. And that's, like I said, that's what I said earlier about, I don't think you can run too big of a bait. And the whitefish will actually come in and spawn in that, 45 to 40 degree water temperature range. And then the Cisco's coming after. And that's where, you want these Cisco imitating baits, the silvers, the blues, stuff like that. And I remember that was a incredible trip we had that year. But
now, what are you now like? So you're trolling, I'm assuming, like edges of islands, reefs, and is that your 12-incher?
That's a 12-incher, yeah. And we're trolling Cisco areas where the Ciscos or whitefish will be spawning, whether it's around an island complex or shoreline, rocky shoreline, anywhere we can find some bait, and we're looking for dimples on the water if it's calm. Another nice thing with the fishtail does, by adding that weight to the back end, it gives you a little bit more speed as well. The bait can handle a little bit more speed. So for these guys that are trolling fast and that up on Lake of the Woods, that's been a popular thing, is to put a fishtail in the back of a bait.
Sure.
As well.
No. Now do you have any of the fishtails there handy?
Yeah. When I don't mold the hook in for a couple of reasons. You've got to rig, the tail with whatever hook you want. And the reason why I did that is, like I said earlier, whatever hook I mold in the tail, it's not going to be somebody's favorite hook. So put your own hook in. And the second reason is, if you only have one in your boat and you really pin a fish really bad where you got to cut the hook, and this is the only one you have, are you going to be just, reluctant to cut the hook, or are you going to just yank harder? So I think it's just better on the fish just to cut the hook, feed a new hook through, and up you go, back at it. But so hopefully I can see it here.
Yeah, you're good. Back it up just a little bit.
So when the treble hook is made, it's made with two pieces of wire. One piece makes the two hooks, and then the third piece or second piece of wire is the third barb on it, and that's soldered on. That's the one. The top one is the one you want to stretch through the hole. So the fish tails come with a hole in it, and we're just going to kind of feed. If you can see that here,
hold it up a little higher for me, Bill.
Okay,
right there, perfect.
All right, so you can feed the shank of the hook through the body, and then we're going to stretch that. And then we're going to take that hook that's soldered on, and now we're going to stretch that over the hole.
Okay.
So this side kind of looks like so, and then the opposite side is like that. And the reason why you want to do the hook that's soldered on is, otherwise when you put on the bait, it's going to be tweaked on an angle. So this way the hook is, kind of sitting back on the bait.
Sure, it's all straight.
All right. So I used to always tell everybody, put it on so where that it actually works as a shrink tube. And I found out it's better. I don't like that as much anymore. I kind of want just the, actually just so the split ring is coming through.
Sure. You think that allows up freedom to the bait a little more?
Yeah. So if I just bring that tail just back a little, so I want that to flap around a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, instead of having it on all the way this far, so it's like a shrink tube, it seems to work a lot nicer if it's actually so the split ring is just kind of showing, and that way it flops around the most, and it seems to work best. And there's a video on our if you go on our website, on the front page you can get to our YouTube channel, and there's a video I have, or up on Facebook, there's a video on how to rig them, but it's pretty simple. And
what's your website, Bill?
Slammertackle.com.
Okay.
And like I said, the tails all come poured long, so you're going to have to push the hook through, and then you just cut them off with a scissors to the length you want for what hook you're using. But it's something I really like late in the fall, as that water cools down, and again in the spring. Like I said, for twitching it, there's times where you can get that, gives it a bigger profile, and it runs a little bit higher in the water column and works really well.
Yeah, no, it does good, and you can see here by the video, you can see how it moves around back there, displaces more water. Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Baits can handle a little more speed, and I think a lot of times in the fall, that more natural profile, it just seems that these fish are just coming up, looking at it and decide whether they want to eat it or not. And I just think that looking a little bit more natural seems to help sometimes.
Exactly. Well, let's talk here before we quit about some tuning. I know you with crankbaits, that's part of fishing crankbaits, is you've got to know how to tune them. Now, myself and a lot of people, messing with the actual pull point, the eyelet that sticks out the front of the bait, is real popular. But you have another way that you like to do it.
Well, yeah, and that's real. Like I said, if the bait's going to swim out to the left, you're going to want to take a pliers and bend that eye to the right. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Or if it swims out to the right, you're going to want to bend it to the left. And so basically you're by bending it, there's more. If I have to bend it to this side, there's just more lip on this side of the bait. So what I've been doing is either there's a small little deburring tool that I use.
Yep.
Just I can get at the hardware store, or I use just the edge of a hook sharpening file. And so if it's swimming to the left where I normally would bend this to the right, I'm going to leave this all straight, and I'm just going to file a little bit off the side of the lip here. Okay. Or with the scraping tool is, just scrape a little bit. Baby steps here. You don't want too much off. You can always take more off this side then, but just get the boat going at your trolling speed, and if it pops out one way or the other, instead of bending that wire, just shave a little bit off to the this side or this side to compensate for it. And that seems to work better for me. Once again, on our YouTube channel, we have a video that explains that a little bit more in depth. But
sure,
I found for getting speed out of the bait, it works if you leave everything nice and straight down the belly of the bait, including the line tied right out the nose, and then adjust the lip accordingly to get the bait to run true. That seems to work better for trying to get more speed out of the bait.
Yeah. So you're just kind of shaving that lip a little bit, but
yep.
I definitely err on the side of caution when you're doing that, so you don't have like a
trust me, there's plenty of times where I've taken too much off, and one scrape was good, two's got to be better, now it goes the other way, so we take a scrape off the opposite side. But yeah, the little scraping tool, I think you can get it at most industrial supply stores, but if you don't have one of those, the round edge of a 2-file hook sharpener seems to work just a little bit here, a little bit there. It seems to work really good. That works better for me.
Sure. No,
putting a large split ring on the nose, for the trolling guys seem to like that as well.
Yeah. No, anything that you can do to kind of make them behave, as I call it.
And a lot of times it's just in the DNA of the bait. There's some baits that just won't run as the speed as other ones. I've got some 8-inch baits that, boy, I swear I get the boat up on plane with the bait behind the boat. And then my good 8-inch perch that I, won't go in the boat without it. I bet you if I troll it 2.5 miles an hour, it would probably pop out of the water. But twitching it, I can get the bait to dance all over the place. So, I ain't gonna mess with that one.
No, I get it. That's part of it. Well, Bill, I appreciate you coming on here. How can somebody get a hold of you to get some baits?
Well, we don't really sell retail anymore. We let our customers do that. So if it's mail order, Musky Tackle Online, the Muskie Shop, Team Rhino Outdoors, or Thorn Brothers all have. You can buy them online. Otherwise, we go through our bait shops. So that's usually the best bet. Our website's kind of set up for informational stuff on each of the baits.
Okay, and you do through, and I'm sure Smokies has quite
Smokies
a bit of
and
stuff.
Pewaukee. Otherwise, and if you're a certain area, you can give me shoot me an email or a text, and I can let you know where's the best area to go get them.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, Bill, hey, I really appreciate you coming on here and talking to me this morning. I think people, we got a lot of good information out there, and I'm gonna let you know how those 9-inchers work. I'm excited. If whatever, hopefully this spring will work out good here, and I'll get a chance to throw some of them.
All right, Greg. Thanks for having me on. Good talking with you.
You too. Hold on here for me, okay? Don't hang up just yet.